Hello, in this video, I'm going to share a resource that you might not have heard of, but it's extremely valuable. Stay tuned. Welcome to Wellness with John. I'm John Peters, and these are resources to help you thrive. So in this video, I want to talk about an extremely valuable resource that you might not have heard of, but that you really should know about because it potentially could help you get much, much better care and much better therapeutic benefit if you take any medicines for depression, anxiety, ADHD, or other psychiatric issues. And I'm talking about the GeneSight test, okay? But let me pause for a second and just say that I'm a therapist. I'm not a doctor. This video is not to give you medical advice about you're needing to take this drug versus that drug or close medical management of your particular care plan. But I do talk to people, of course, all the time who are on psychiatric medications. And we therapists do help people get good, competent medication evals, and we support competent medication compliance when it's a good component of therapy. So that's where I'm coming from when I'm talking to you about this information today. So here's the thing. This is going to get a little bit sciencey, but bear with me because I will try to make it make sense. Okay. So when you take any medication, there's complex biochemistry that goes on in terms of like absorption and utilization and how it affects the various parts of the brain and the body, and then whether it's metabolized into something else and how that action takes place in the body, and then how we clear it and things like that. And each one of those elements of that complex set of processes is mediated by proteins in our bodies. Our proteins are regulated by our genes, okay? And we all get two sets of genes from our biological parents, but here's the thing. For any particular gene, we may end up with two copies or only one copy or even three copies of the same gene, okay? Now, why does this matter? Why does this matter to us when we're talking about psychiatric medications? Because when the pharmacy companies do their studies for safety and efficacy and things that they have to prove to the FDA that allow them to bring a drug to market, they are studying a pool of people, and they are not typically differentiating those people by genotypes in terms of having one, two, or three of the genes that are implicated in how that drug works in the body. So basically, the assumption is this drug works this way or that way and has these side effects or those side effects for the general population. And we're assuming that we're talking about people with two copies of the relevant genes. Okay, fine for the general population. But you are a particular person. I'm a particular person. And I either have one, two, or three copies of the relevant genes that pertained to a particular drug. And this is part of the explanation for why drugs affect people differently, why some people have more side effects than other people for the same dose of the same drug. It's why one drug doesn't work for somebody while it works for somebody else, right? Because the thing is, if let's say that there's a gene that has to do with absorption of a drug, okay? And if you have two copies, you absorb it like the people did in the studies, okay? But you happen to have three genes, and having three genes of that particular gene means that you absorb it much more readily, okay? So compared to the average person, you're going to absorb more of the drug on the same dose, and thus you have a functionally higher actual dose in your body given the same dosage of the pill, okay? This is what I'm talking about. And so there's this test that's easy to get, and it's not invasive. They just do a cheek swab, and then you send in the swab to the lab, and then you get this report. But basically, this company has developed this test that looks at a variety of genes, and it gives you this report for different classes of drugs that are commonly used for psychiatric purposes for things like depression, anxiety, ADHD, and other psychiatric issues. And the report basically can let your doctor know that this drug might be good for you, that drug might be bad for you. With this one, you'd need a lower dose. With that one, you'd need a higher dose in order to get a good therapeutic benefit and not have problematic side effects, okay? This is an especially important tool for you to use if you have a chronic psychiatric issue like chronic anxiety, chronic depression, or something, and you are one of the many people who says, you know what, I tried this and I tried that, and neither of them worked, and this one gave me side effects, and I'm not sure what else to try, and I'm not real enthusiastic about trying another one because the last one was so disappointing, and this is common, right? This is a common thing that happens with people. I hear this every day in my practice, okay? The problem is if you give up before finding something that actually could work as a really good adjunct to a general wellness plan and a good therapist, then you're only getting part of the therapeutic response, and you could get a much more competent, robust response if you had the right medicine that actually worked for you safely. Okay. So the GeneSight test, and by the way, I'll put the link in the description below. You can just click through and go take a look at what they say about the test at the website. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get any sort of monetary kickback from them at all. I just think it's an extremely good resource, which is why I'm sharing it with you. And I'll also say that it's extremely affordable because with a lot of insurance plans, it covers all the cost of the test. And with some plans, you have a copay. But as you can see, if you go look at the cost description on the GeneSight website, they keep the out-of-pocket costs very affordable. So it's not an outrageously expensive test to get, even though it's new and it's proprietary. Only this one company is offering it at this time. But in any case, I recommend it for everybody, actually. I think it's good for all of us to know about certain classes of drugs in terms of this would work for me and that one wouldn't work for me. But this resource is especially valuable to you if you have had one or more failed trials of medications in the past to treat anxiety, depression, ADHD, or other psychiatric issues, and yet you would hope to get some sort of benefit from something out there. You probably are not one of the people who's literally tried every single drug on the planet. So there may be things you haven't tried that could work for you. One way to definitively know more about whether there's something that could work for you would be to pursue this test. So if you or a friend or a family member is in that type of position, I highly recommend that you go to the GeneSight website and take a look at their information to see if it potentially could be a good resource for you and your treatment plan. Okay, so if you like this kind of content, feel very free to hit the like button below. If you have yet to subscribe, I'm only something like 9,987 people away from my goal of 10,000 subscribers. So please subscribe and feel free to comment, because comments help me understand what people like and don't like about my videos and help me tailor the content that I produce for this channel. So I will see you in an upcoming video. Thanks.